Talk to me about election interference. I was interviewing Jim Rickards, wrote a book called Currency Wars, and he said there hasn't been a fair election in Philadelphia for 100 years. Is that true? And what has
Course.
changed? Okay. What has changed since the last
And I say that as the
election?
guy who's from the Philadelphia area.
Okay. So is that common knowledge?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
With big states like this, if you run elections in Pennsylvania, you talk to anyone who's actually gonna shoot straight with you from running elections in Pennsylvania, you know that on the Republican side, you can crunch the numbers, and I've worked on campaigns where we've done that, where you crunch the numbers and you look at mortality and you look at the obituaries and you track real estate property records and who's coming into the state, who's moving out of the state. You track voter registration, all of these very driver's license registrations, which is a huge thing that's going on right now because of universal motor voter. That you can get a general sense, with pretty high fidelity of how many people are going to vote in your state, just doing that on any general state. Yet with the Democrats in Pennsylvania, they always seem to have 3 to 5%. That's just a little bit higher than where the aggregate raw numbers would come into. The Republican side always seems to be just about where you wanted it. And the Democrats always seem to come in 3 to 5% higher. And it's amazing how it's almost completely localized on the county of Philadelphia. Why is that? I can't imagine. It must be some random Philly magic that I guess that they have in order to generate these extra ballots. But it's very clear. And so when President Trump talks about too big to rig, or the way that I've referred to it in the past is you have to beat the margin of fraud, that simply means that Republicans, or any Republican candidate or any candidate that's running against the Philly machine, must accomplish a voter turnout rate that is higher than the 3 to 5% delta. Meaning, if you're running neck and neck in the polls, you actually need to run you're down 3 to 5% because of that delta of fraud.
Can that be beat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it can only be beat by an effective ground operation. Once an election is stolen, once dirty ballots get mixed in with clean ballots, there's no judge in America that's going to overturn an election. Certainly not on a national scale. It's just not going to happen, even up to the Supreme Court. And maybe Clarence Thomas, but he's not enough to do it by himself. And so, what the only effective way to beat that is, and look, what the Democrats did in 2020 was effectively legalized ballot stuffing. They legalized ballot stuffing through drop boxes, through mail-ins, through universal mail-in, through all these various different ways of creating, choose your own voting method. They've completely legalized ballot stuffing, and they changed elections in America from a voting operation where individual humans go and vote and towns and communities go. And by the way, the original election integrity used to be that you knew your poll watcher. So you would walk up and they would see me or see me with my father, and they'd say, "Hi, John, how are you? It's good to see your son. Your wife was here earlier this morning and she was on her way to work. And, I hope you have see you at church on Sunday," that kind of thing. That was the original election integrity. But by moving to a mail-in process, it strips, number one, that civic ritual, that civic community ritual away from people, but it also breaks the bonds of integrity. So moving from a high integrity system where everyone knows each other to a low integrity system where you have no idea who the people are, not to mention the illegals voting, the SAVE Act not being passed, et cetera, et cetera. And so the only way to compete in a system where it's ballot by ballot is that you've got to conduct your own ballot operations, which I have seen the Republicans doing with Trump and Task Force 47. And again, I mentioned some of the other partners, Scott Pressler, PHA's Turning Point Action, that we do actually see those having a great effect on the ground in a way that we didn't see in 2020.
But now we have the immigrant population. I was just visiting home in Southern California, and my dad said, he said anybody can get a driver's license, and that automatically qualifies you to vote. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, an illegal immigrant can get a driver's license. And is this a concern in a lot of states? Or maybe that's a California thing.
Well, no, it's certainly a concern, and the most effective ways to deal with that, again, are, as I say, the ground operations, and then also the understanding that, and I've actually said that this is something that people should go and take and print out massive signs and perhaps even bilingual signs to put up outside. You have, when you go to vote, they always have that electioneering border, so it's, I think, 100 yards, or depending on the state, maybe it's 100 feet or something from the first door of the election office when you come in, that you can have the yard signs up. Well, what Republicans should do, or just anyone who cares about election integrity and voter integrity does. I mean, we're supposed to be protecting our democracy, right? Isn't that what the globalists are always telling us? Protect our democracy. We're fighting for democracy. Well, then put up signs that say, if you are an illegal and you are caught voting, you will be sent directly to jail and you will be sent directly to the deportation office. And put that up in whatever language you'd like to in front of every single voting office and every single polling station in one of these swing states or really anywhere in America, and make sure that it's there. And oh, by the way, have poll watchers that are specifically out looking for these things. I'm not saying, by the way, block anyone from voting, but make sure that they know that if you break this law and if you vote illegally, you will be first in the deportations.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.